Let's dive into the origin of Kang the Conqueror, created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Kang's first appearance was in the Avengers 8 in 1964, but he appeared as a different character named Rama-Tut in Fantastic Four number 19 in 1963. Nathaniel Richards, a 31st century scholar and possible descendant of Reed Richards' time-traveling father Nathaniel, becomes fascinated with history and discovers the time travel technology created by Victor Von Doom. He then travels back in time to ancient Egypt aboard a sphinx-shaped time ship and becomes Rama-Tut. Rama-Tut's rule is cut short when he is defeated by the time-displaced Fantastic Four. Nathaniel Richards travels forward to the 20th century where he meets Dr. Doom, who he believes might be his ancestor. He later designs an armor based on Doom's, and then he calls himself the Scarlet Centurion. Pits the Avengers team against alternate reality counterparts. He plans to dispose of all of them, but the Avengers manage to force him from the timeline. Nathaniel then tries to return to the 31st century, but overshoots by 1,000 years, discovering a war-torn Earth that uses advanced weapons they no longer understand. He finds it simple to conquer the planet, expanding his domain throughout the galaxy, and reinvents himself as Kang the Conqueror. But this future world is dying, and so he decides to take over an earlier, more fertile Earth. In Nathaniel's first foray in the 20th century under the Kang identity, he meets and battles the Avengers, capturing everyone but the Wasp and Rick Jones, and informs the world that they have 24 hours to surrender to him. Jones and some friends pretend that they want to help Kang and double-cross him once they gain access to his ship, and then they set the Avengers free. In the attempt to stop them, Kang releases radiation that only beings from his timeline are immune to, but Thor uses the hammer to absorb the rays and send them back at the Warlord so even he cannot withstand it, and he is forced to escape. He later attempts to defeat the Avengers using a Spider-Man robot, but the real Spider-Man destroys it. In his own time, Kang falls for the princess of one of his subjects' kingdoms, Ravonna, who does not return his feelings. In an attempt to demonstrate his power, he kidnaps the Avengers and, after several escape attempts on their part, subdues them in a rebellious kingdom with the help of his army. When Kang refuses to execute Ravonna, his commanders revolt and he frees the Avengers to fight with him against them. They successfully defeat them, but not before Ravonna is wounded when she leaps in front of a blast meant for Kang, realizing she does love him after all. Kang returns the Avengers to the present and places Ravonna's body in stasis. In hopes of restoring his love life, Kang enters a wager with the cosmic entity Grand Master, using the Avengers as pawns in his game, which, if won, can temporarily grant him power over life and death. The first round ends in a stalemate when an unaware Black Knight intervenes and prevents a clear victory by the Avengers, although the team definitely wins the second round. Due to the first round stalemate, Kang does not earn the power of both life and death, but is forced to choose. He selects the power of death over the Avengers, but is stopped by the Black Knight, who, not being an Avenger at the time, was not affected. Next, Kang kidnaps the Hulk and sends him into 1917 France to kill the Phantom Eagle before he can destroy a giant German cannon, which would otherwise kill Banner's grandfather, who is fighting in the trenches. This would prevent the Hulk from existing and consequently the formation of the Avengers. However, the Hulk destroys the cannon, which sends him back in the present while Kang is projected into limbo. There are other story arcs of Kang. The Celestial Madonna. Kang wants to marry the Celestial Madonna, who turns out to be Mantis. She is destined to have a powerful child, and Kang wants to use that child to destroy the Avengers. First Resurrection's storyline is this constant time traveling has created a number of alternate Kangs. And the most recent, Fresh Start. Kang is in the Pottersville arc with Dr. Doom solo series, in which he is shown to be tethered to Doom in quantum entanglement. Powers and abilities. It might surprise you that Kang does not have any true powers, but he is one of the smartest beings in the universe. He has superior level intellect, power of time travel. His body armor gives Kang enhanced strength and durability, a 30-day supply of air and food, the ability to control other forms of technology, According to Kang's power and abilities and his influence on the Marvel Universe, we give him a 9 out of 10.